Hello everyone, how's it going? Now, in this video, I'll be talking about the importance of tuning down our catastrophic thinking. Many times, as I was stuck with OCD, as I was rooting out the beliefs that I was holding and the catastrophic thinking that I was clinging on to that was keeping me stuck, it kept boiling down to one thing. I kept saying that if this happens, or if this has happened in the past, or if this does happen in the future, then my life is ruined. It would be the worst thing ever. My life would be totally over. It would be awful. It would be terrible. It would be horrible. It would be catastrophic. Every situation, every time that I viewed the worst case scenario, it boiled down to my extreme catastrophic outlook on it. And that is what kept me stuck for ages, for many, many years. So I had to tune that down. Now, how do we do that? So the first thing that helped me was with gratitude, realistically looking at things that we deem as the worst thing ever. As in, could it be worse? Is it totally awful? Is it as bad as it could possibly be? Okay, looking at other situations, looking at other life events, other adversities, other hardships, how people have lived your worst case scenario, how they would have adapted to that, adjusted to that, completely changed their life, rebuilt their life, whatever they may have done if your worst case was true. Let's say you had a fear of going to jail, right? I used to deem that as the worst possible thing ever when I was very rigid, when I was very black and white, and when I was very irrational. But that was just my very catastrophic view on it. So I had to change that. And this is where it's not agreement. You're not trying to get to a place where, oh yeah, it's fine, it'll all be rosy, everyone will just be dancing, it'll be fine, no worries at all, no problem at all. That's not the case. You're not becoming delusional, you're not becoming daft, you're not becoming blind to the realities of life, but you're just bringing down, bit by bit by bit, the catastrophic outlook on it, as in the worst thing ever. Because when you imply the worst thing ever, you are saying it is 110% bad, that it just couldn't possibly be worse, that there would be no worse alternative, that thing that you are fearing, going to jail, being sectioned, going into a mental hospital, somebody leaving you, being rejected by society, being seen as a societal outcast, all these things that would be very unfortunate and certainly wouldn't be ideal, and you certainly wouldn't want any of these things, of course you wouldn't. But when you start saying it would be totally life-ending, the worst thing ever, right? That is when you get into trouble, and that is what fuels the emotional reaction. Okay, remember the Albert Ellis first book on our reading list, How to Stubbornly Refuse to Make Yourself Miserable About Anything, Yes, Anything. And that talks about A plus B equals C. So the activating event, let's say your worst fear happens, whatever it may be, being rejected, going to jail, whatever it may be. Okay, that doesn't automatically equal C, the emotional consequence. There's a B, there's a belief system, there's your irrational belief that you're holding around A, how you are viewing A. That is the cause to C. Yes, it impacts you, and it contributes to the consequence, of course, right? You're not a robot. You know, if I suddenly got rejected by a good friend of mine tomorrow, I'm not just sat there completely emotionless like a numb robot. That's not true. There would be a natural reaction there, but the catastrophic extreme reaction would be my belief system, and that is something that I can alter. That is something that I can change through persistent and consistent belief work, disputing, seeing it for what it is, bringing down the catastrophic view on it. It's terrible, it's horrible, it's the worst thing ever. That kind of catastrophic view, that's the problem. And that is what would have fueled the emotional reaction of panic, anxiety, guilt, shame, depression, low mood, anger, rage, vengefulness, all the kind of emotions that humans can feel, and all the unhealthy negative emotions that humans feel. So how do we change this? Now, it always kept coming back to my life would be ruined. Ruined is a word I do not say anymore. I never say the word ruined ever because to me, ruined means pretty much dead, right? My life is ruined once I'm dead. Once I haven't got the capacity to function at all. I'm dead, right? I've dropped dead and I'm just not in a state to function, to exist. Therefore, dead, right? Anything else is my life is severely compromised. My life is severely impacted. My life is severely affected. Okay, let's use a day-to-day example. Let's say somebody is getting married outside and it rains. Now you could say, right, that's it. The wedding is ruined. Okay, but what about all the other things? So instead, in a more rational approach, you could say, well, yes, the wedding was affected. It was definitely impacted by the adverse weather, for sure. But was it ruined? No. Did you still get married? Yes. Did you still find an element of enjoyment? Yes. Could you still laugh and be relatively happy? Yes. Was there still great moments? Of course, right? Of course, it was soured, it was affected, it was certainly impacted by the weather, but it wasn't totally ruined, okay? And that's just an example that I can give in day-to-day life. So you've got to look at ruined versus severely compromised, affected, impacted, okay? Those three words really help me because even if my worst case was true, or even if I was triggered by something, even if I was rejected, even if I lost my job, even if something didn't go my way, rather than the automatic reaction of my life being ruined, or my day being ruined, or my holiday being ruined, or my weekend being ruined, or whatever it is you're deeming as ruined, you've got to change it to, well, if I feel anxious on holiday, let's use an example, if I feel anxious on holiday, then that holiday is affected by my emotions, by the feelings I do not wish to have whilst on holiday, but it's certainly not ruined. It's certainly not the worst thing ever. Think how lucky you are to be on holiday. Yes, you'd rather not be anxious, but you're still physically there on holiday. You would enjoy it more being less anxious, of course. Yes, of course you would. But is it awful? Is it ruined? No, because you're still there and you can still find ounces of enjoyment, even if it's not very much, even if your holiday is severely affected by your anxiety and your OCD, you can still find seconds of enjoyment if you look for it. You truly, truly can. Okay? So you've also got to look at the life altering versus life ending, right? Because it's easy to say, well, if that happens, my life's over. My life's done. I'm finished. I'm past the point of no return. That chucks me over the edge now. I'm fucked. Excuse my language, but I'm fucked. I'm done forever. There's no coming back from this one. This one's different. How many times we hear that as an OCD coach? This one's different. This one's real. This one's different from the previous one. This one's the exception. This one requires working out. This one requires immediate, urgent attention. I need to get rid. No, okay, we've got to look at, even if that happened, how your life would be altered, your life would be affected, your life would be impacted, your life would be compromised. But would your life be over? No. Would it be life-ending? No, unless it was a life-ending crash, a life-ending illness, a life-ending injury. Okay, then your life has ended. But if it was just something like rejection, being stuck with anxiety, it impacts your life, it alters your life, it changes your life, but it's not totally negative, meaning life ending, life over. Because that way of thinking gets us into heaps of trouble. I used to say things like, let's say if I have this thought, or if I have done this thing in the past, then that means my holiday is ruined. Okay, that means the football match that I'm going to on the weekend, that's ruined. That means the weekend that I've got, or the plans that I've got, that's ruined. Okay, now with that way of thinking, you're off to a pretty bad start. You get off on the wrong foot quite quickly there, because you shut the door immediately. You go, well, if I feel like that, it's ruined. If I have this thought, let's say I had an intrusive thought or an intrusive urge or an intrusive dream, intrusive image, intrusive name, if that intrusive name or intrusive thought is stuck, that's it, the whole day's ruined. Well, I'm sorry, but that is why the thought will get stuck, because of that kind of thinking. And this is why OCD takes orders from beliefs. If you're finding thoughts are getting stuck, if you're finding names are getting stuck, words are getting stuck, images are getting stuck, memories, dreams, real events, whatever it is, if it's getting stuck, it's because of your relationship with the thoughts coming in or with whatever that's getting stuck. So you need to change that relationship with it and also tune down the catastrophic thinking as well as all the other irrational beliefs that you're holding. The first book on our reading list is critical for this, absolutely critical. And this led me to putting off life. This led me to be trapped in the cycle of complete and utter avoidance, because everything that I tried to plan when I was stuck, slap back down. Nope, that'll be ruined. You'll be anxious, that'll be ruined. Your night's sleep, that'll be ruined. Your build up and the excitements of your holiday or your career that you're trying to pursue, or the hobby that you're trying to get invested in, or the passion you're trying to get absorbed by, ruined. You can't enjoy that. You've done this, or this thing happened, or you won't enjoy this, that's ruined. Right? Done. Finished. Over. And that's why I just felt totally demotivated, sat there in my head in my hands going, well, what the fuck do I do? Because everywhere I turned, it was, yeah, but that'll be ruined. And this is why it's hard to overcome that barrier initially, because OCD is looking to beat you down. Boom, that'll be ruined. That won't work. That isn't going to work. That's a waste of time. Don't worry about that. You're going to be so anxious. What's the point? And that's why it's easy to get into that avoidant, distant way of living, because your confidence is on the floor. Anything that you try and do, especially when you look back at what you were like before OCD really got severe, you're like, yeah, but I used to enjoy that. I remember being at football many times thinking, yeah, but I used to enjoy this. Why can't I enjoy it anymore? So that used to make it even harder for me to enjoy it, because I was remembering what I used to be like when I used to enjoy it. And now it was like, oh, it's all ruined now because of OCD. It's all ruined now because of these thoughts. It's all ruined now because of this thing in the past. So then I avoided going to football. Vacation's another one. I remember once for me walking out of an exam. I had a college exam with accountancy. And I walked out of that because the way of thinking was, even if I pass this exam, what's the point? Because my life's only going to be ruined because of the anxiety, because of the OCD, because of whatever fear it latched to then. I think it was real event false memory then. So because of the guilt, I can't enjoy this vocation. I can't enjoy pursuing this career. Even if I earn a shit ton of money from this career, what's the point? It's all going to be ruined because of this thing. I can't enjoy it. So that extreme black and white thinking, you're going to have to rip that apart. You're going to have to get under this catastrophic view. I never say things like ruined, worst thing ever, terrible, awful, horrible. Of course I do in passing comment with friends and with family, because I'm human. I'm going to talk in that kind of way. But do I believe it? No. Do I philosophize it? No. I wouldn't be able to recover from OCD if I use catastrophic thinking. I wouldn't be able to. OCD takes orders from beliefs. It's scanning for any catastrophic way of viewing something. Boom, it's going to latch to it and it's going to grip in firmly, leaving you no wriggle room, leaving you feeling totally trapped in where there's nowhere to turn. That's how it's going to feel. Okay? So really try and break that down. Really try and change your language around your catastrophic views on things. Okay? Is it really awful? Is it as bad as it could possibly be? Is it the worst thing ever? Right? Could it be worse? Is it 110% bad? Is it just a damn nuisance, a misfortune, an inconvenience, a huge frustration, a huge annoyance, a huge life impacting thing, a life affecting thing, a life compromising thing? Or, in your eyes, is it the worst total thing that could happen to mankind? Is it the worst possible thing ever? Now, that is not downplaying things that can happen. There are things around us that can be deemed as terrible. You can rate things as terrible, and you can view it like that. But if you're finding that you're getting very depressed by things, like let's say you're viewing a natural disaster, you're not going to just say, oh, the natural disaster, that was inconvenient, right? You can view that as terrible, as catastrophic, okay? But if you're finding you're getting very depressed by these things, if you're finding you're getting very beaten by these things, and every time you wake up, it's just the depression, guilt, and viewing yourself as the worst thing ever, catastrophizing what maybe you have done, or just a life condition, a life circumstance, a life reality, then what you'll find is your emotional and mental health will take a toll. Okay, so it's how you're viewing things which is getting you into the emotional trouble, and that is what can be changed. You can choose whether you choose whether you catastrophize something. You can choose how you react to something. Okay, you can choose the belief system. You can choose your perception on something. And remember, if we change our belief system, that's going to lead to healthier emotional reactions. Or you can continue catastrophizing things and see how it goes. But the trouble with what I was doing and what many people that I coach are doing and getting better at, realizing that, hang on a minute, my catastrophic view is actually fueling my guilt, my shame, my panic, my depression, my anxiety, right? If you're catastrophizing how you're going to feel when you're triggered, you're more likely to do compulsions because you're scared of that feeling. Therefore, you're going to give into the compulsions to try and avoid that feeling. So it becomes a vicious circle. Okay? How we catastrophize, the language that we use, the verbiage that we use, the wording that we use is absolutely vital. Okay, absolutely crucial. Something to think about, something to break down, something to work on, and focus on that first book if you're finding it very difficult, How to Stubbornly Refuse to Make Yourself Miserable About Anything, Yes, Anything, by Albert Ellis. And that's a great insight on how to break these catastrophic views down. Very, very important. If you are interested in one-to-one services, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com and you get in touch with a coach here. I'm Sam, you've got the founder of OCD Recovery, Rob, you got Nick, you've got Momin, you've got Gemma, and you've also got Elliot, who's also starting calls. So please get in touch with Phil and we will book you in for our next available slot. Anyway, take care, guys. Hope you found it helpful. And if you have, please leave a like. Bye-bye.